This video is sponsored by Virtual Gladiators. Virtual Gladiators have everything you need to make your very own Minecraft or Hytale server. Click the link in the description to find out more.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Hycast, the premier Hytale podcast. I'm your host, Fezzy, and today we're joined by Kyronic. Welcome to the podcast, we're glad to have you with us today.
Thanks for having me, I appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to have you. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in the Hytale community?
I'm Kyronic, and I'm a Hytale model maker. You may have seen some of my art on Reddit or Twitter. I'm also the owner of HiLumix, which is a future Hytale server, which will be making the game mode Infected, which is an open world zombie game. And I'm also a founder of Circle, which is a small community of people who are big in the Hytale community.
Very cool. Okay. So many Hytale servers have expressed plans for very ambitious projects, ranging from esports to large MMORPGs and other huge experiences not common in games like Minecraft, for example. What do you expect to be the actual extent of modding in Hytale community servers?
Personally, I believe that the extent of modding is far beyond what we can produce in games such as Minecraft or Roblox. I mean, Minecraft, for example, is running on a 10-year-old engine, and Hypixel, who produced Hytale, are coming from Minecraft, and they've experienced those limitations, and I'm sure there's been times where they've wanted to create a game but can't. But now we're given this amazing opportunity where creators are given just as much attention as the players, with like a custom built engine, live scripting, and its own model maker, which is free, and we don't have to use third-party programs.
Yeah, it's all very streamlined, and I think that's going to be a big deal for a lot of people. Many groups are assuming Hytale will be much more moddable than Minecraft, of course, which some planning to implement ideas not yet deemed possible in Hytale. Do you think it's safe to make this assumption, or should server owners be more cautious about the extent of what Hytale could be capable of?
I definitely think people should be more cautious about it. I've seen people promise the world to their servers, and even us at Hylumix, we get in our head and we start thinking of all these ideas that we don't actually know are possible yet. I think what you need to do is just don't publicize or promise anything to players that hasn't been confirmed possible yet.
That seems fair. I mean, it makes sense. I definitely have seen the whole promise the world thing resonate with a lot of the people making servers. And I don't think we should get I think Hytale should be something excited for, but not too overhyped in terms of customization, because then it would lead to a lot of letdown because I mean, every game has its limitations. That's just fair. So it makes a lot of sense. And from what we have seen, Hytale appears to be much more customizable than both Minecraft and Cube World. Do you expect there to be any limitations in what you can modify?
I don't believe you've seen any way we can change the way blocks and models reflect. For example, like if you want something metal to be shiny, I haven't seen a way that you could do that, or something rough to have no reflection at all. I'm also very interested in the character customization. There's many ways they can go with it. They can just have model makers over at Hytale produce their own content and holiday packs, or they can go down the route of the Minecraft marketplace, where only selected creators get to create all these assets. So I'm very interested in seeing how the character customization is, and I hope there's a lot of room for people to create their own avatars, such in games such as VR Chat or Minecraft.
So obviously you have a lot of ambitions with Hytale, so if you got to decide what the very first mod made for Hytale should be, what would you want it to be and why?
It's hard to exactly say because we don't know all the content currently, but personally, if you're not able to do this, I'd love to be able to send an army of Quebecs to destroy the Outlanders and send a bunch of different armies against each other. I also saw an idea for recreating Minecraft in Hytale with all the textures and stuff, and I thought that was pretty funny.
That would be pretty interesting to see, actually. So we're going to go ahead and head into our next kind of segment, which is the creation side of Hytale. So we're going to touch on a couple topics there. Hytale will obviously be very new for both original Minecraft players and people coming from other communities. How do you think people will adapt to Hytale's more creation-centric side?
I see the transition being very smooth. We'll see a lot of well-known people, such as Minecraft builders and YouTubers, create videos in Hytale, and eventually, I believe that a lot of those people will just stick with Hytale because of the capabilities, because they're often held back by games such as Minecraft. We're given the tools, so I definitely think people who usually wouldn't give this a try would jump into it, and then we'll get some really good and creative people from that.
Okay, yeah, that's a fair point. Hypixel Studios was made by people who played Minecraft, obviously, but craved something more. What new features do you see being implemented into Hytale, or which ones are you more excited about?
We've seen there's their own version of World Edit, where you can actually visualize what you're pasting in and what you're doing, but I'd love to see integrated moderation tools to ban, kick, and warn people. So I'm very excited to use that if that is a thing. We understand that there's an integrated server list, but the ability to add social media such as Discord to it and have a trailer on the side would also be something I'd enjoy.
Those are very good points, actually. I 100% agree with the social medias and the trailer thing. I think that'd be really cool. So modding will obviously be an enormous part of Hytale. Most likely the majority of servers will be relying on custom mods. How do you expect the mods to influence the growth and development of the game?
We've seen other games, such as Minecraft, take inspiration from Mo creatures and add in horses. I personally believe there'll be situations where the community and creators actually inspire the developers to add something in. In terms of growth, we've seen stuff like Skyblock, Tech It, and Feed the Beast blow up on Minecraft and give new life to it, and it'll be interesting to see what the equivalent would be on Hytale.
That would be pretty interesting to see, and that was a fair point with the with the Mo creatures thing, and I think honestly that'll be a big thing in the beta, because a lot of people will be probably making modifications to the game during that time period. So that's a fair point. I think that would be pretty interesting to see. Of course, not everyone focuses on the server-side features. We have been shown a variety of built-in tools that previously required mods to use. How do you think the building community will utilize these tools with projects getting increasingly large and complex?
I used to be a builder on a Minecraft server in an open world game, and a lot of time was wasted on world editing because I wasn't able to visualize what I was doing with the axe, whereas on Hytale, you're given a preview of what you're doing before you do it. So I definitely think that people will be more efficient with that. Every game has its limits, and there will always be those people who push the game to the limit. So I think because of that, builds will get a lot bigger in size and complexity. And now, if we want to create chairs, we won't need to use upside down stairs. We can just simply model a chair. So I definitely think in terms of interior, and the small little details, they're about to get a lot better and a lot bigger.
Good point. I think that is a pretty important thing. That is, I do like how you brought up the whole chair thing, because it is kind of goofy how in Minecraft you have to do some very, very interesting things to get the look you want and the feel you want. It definitely would be nice to have your own models and such to include in your interiors or whatever you would want them to. So you discussed that you're the founder of a server called Hylumix. Can you give us a brief description of what that server will be and what we can expect to see in it?
Hylumix is a server started by my friends Jay Bentley and Triheda, and we came up with the idea even before Hytale was announced to create this open world zombie game. And then we found the Hytale trailer and we thought that this would be a lot more suitable to create on it. It's a game sort of inspired by DayZ and Rust, but built in a zombie apocalypse world mainly based on The Walking Dead. But we're going to have different stuff like The Last of Us and 28 Days Later, all these different zombie medias poured into one for an open world experience with quests and buildings and community economy, that sort of thing.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Hytale will come with many built-in tools that allow developers to better customize their gameplay experiences. Out of these tools that we know of so far, which do you plan to utilize and to what degree?
The main one will be the Hytale Model Maker. We've got 8 modelers currently, and they're all great at what they do, but I do feel when Hytale does drop, the number one thing will be getting models out so that we can give the builders the resources to build these great things. JB and Triheda will focus a lot on the integrated building tools, as they're amazing world builders, and what they were able to do in Minecraft was mind-blowing, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to pull off with the Hytale capabilities. Seeing what you can do with the sky and the weather and the atmosphere gets me really excited, because you can really set the tone for what your server or build is going to be. All these combined will give the player a much more immersive experience than was previously capable.
Very cool. So if Hytale was to release tomorrow, I'm going to throw kind of a quick one at you. How long do you expect it to take for you and your team to create a playable version of your server?
It's a very good question. We're still looking for additional builders and developers, and I believe the current plan is to create testing periods where we'll have like a small portion of the map and people testing the weapons and the PvP to make sure it's balanced. But with what we're planning and who we have currently and the amount of people we have currently, I'd say it wouldn't be too unbelievable to expect it to be near a year, 12 months. But all that can change with who joins us. Everyone involved is enthusiastic about the project, and we're ready to put in the hours. But with what we need to create and how big the map we're planning is, I definitely think it'll be a good couple months after Hytale's release.
That's good. That's good that you're wanting to take your time to make it happen, because there's definitely going to be a lot of servers initially with Hytale that are just going to jump the gun and try to make like a 2v2t or something very small or rush their own thing, and it'll just kind of be this clunky mess. I'm glad to hear that you're willing to take time to test your server and really get things working, because there's definitely a lot of people that won't do that. So that's good to hear. So what challenges do you expect to encounter when developing your server, and what steps have you taken to tackle them?
I think the big one that stands out here is funding. Initially, we didn't know what we were going to do, and you need funding for a project this size for websites and hosting. So I've started taking commissions for my model making and putting it into a PayPal, and we all the builders get together and they put in a little bit each month for it to grow on the wait till Hytale. And that's another point. The wait for the server's release is going to be a big issue, because if Hytale is already out for a year before we're able to drop our server, then people might not be as interested as they were once initially. So I definitely think keeping the hype up and showing people what we're doing with blog posts is going to be a way we can tackle that.
That's always a good thing, is having transparency alongside with your projects so people can stay along with the ride. Definitely glad to hear that you're trying to cover all your bases and you're keeping everything in mind, because like I said, there's going to be a lot of people that try to kind of overshoot what they're able to do, and there's a lot that goes into planning something like this that a lot of people don't think about. Like you said, funding, for example, is something that most people look past and they don't take that into account. It can be a pretty stressful process, but it sounds like you're entering it with a pretty good mindset. So with all that said, that's all the questions we had for today. If you have anything else you want to say, whether it be socials or anything, you can go ahead and say them now if you want to.
I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. I believe my social medias will be in the description, and I'm going to be opening commissions soon. So if you guys want a Hytale avatar, let me know.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure, and we hope to see you again. Make sure to follow Kyronic on Twitter. Of course, like you said, all of his links will be in the description below, and leave a like and subscribe for more Hytale related podcasts. With that said, this has been your host, Fezzy the Frog, and we'll see you next time.